ongoing war on seven fronts. Israel has been attacked on seven fronts for near 600 days. The
Right.
Houthis have been firing consistently. Iran has been behind the October 7th attack. Trump is doing exactly what the Iranian regime has been doing for years, and that is playing the deniability game. You have to have very clear intelligence from multiple sources on, first of all, who is it that is worth hitting, but you also take out the top military and strategic leadership of the country and put it into a state of disarray and chaos and confusion.
Hello and welcome. We do know that Israel has started attacking Iran and Iran is now attacking Israel. Uh, this is a situation where the world is fearing that it should not spiral into a bigger war or into a World War III. Now we have Major Dan Pfefferman. He has been with IDF earlier and he has worked with IDF very closely. He has been security analyst. And thank you so much for joining us, Dan. And if I may call you Dan or Major Pfefferman, what is the situation right now in Israel?
In Israel, the mood is one of, I would say, almost relief, almost elation that Iran, the engine behind the radicalization of the region, the indoctrination of the region, the arming and the operation of radical proxies, Shia and Sunni,
Yeah.
all around the Middle East, and the indoctrination of populations around the West is finally being dealt a blow directly.
Right.
Iran has long played the proxy game, which allows it deniability. It operated and continues to operate proxies against Israel for sure, but also against other moderate states around the Middle East and around the region. If we're talking about, of course, Hezbollah,
Yeah.
if we're talking about Syria, which used to be a puppet state of Iran, we're talking about major proxies in Iraq. The Palestinian militant and terrorist groups, Hamas and certainly Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and the Houthis in Yemen, and others. And Iran was always left off the table. Iran rarely got involved directly itself.
Mhm.
We had, now it's coming out, intelligence on Iran's nuclear program
Right.
that it had amassed a significant amount of uranium that was enriched to over 60%, which is
Right.
very, very close to weapons grade. And so Israel finally took action. The United States, under Trump, White House had been trying to reach a diplomatic agreement, and Iran refused to come to the table. And so people in Israel are actually quite relieved. We're expecting a lot of tension,
Right.
more tension, but to say we've had 600 days of war on
Right.
seven different fronts. And so it's hard to
But can we
imagine how things
say
could get more
can
tense.
we say that US, especially Trump, US and Israel are aligned on this? Because Trump's, he has changed his language so regularly, almost every week. He'll make a different statement altogether. Sometimes he's saying that he knew that he's going to attack. Israel is going to attack Iran. And now, again, a new statement that this was the 61st day. 2 months were gone. But earlier, Trump had a completely different wordings, and these talks were going. So, all these talks were nonsense? What was it?
I think Trump is doing exactly what the Iranian regime has been doing for years, and that is playing the deniability game. It seems quite clear to me that such an attack does not take place without coordination
Right.
between Israel and its strongest ally, the United States. I would even venture to say that key allies in the region were notified ahead of time and
Mhm.
may be coordinated as far as using their airspace to prepare for such attacks. However, just as Iran launches its proxies and its allies against Israel or against the West and then claims it has nothing to do with it
Yeah.
in order to avoid that retaliation, I think the United States is, with a wink and a nod, is doing the exact same thing. The
Mhm.
United States has been trying to reach a diplomatic agreement, and Israel would have been quite happy if
Yeah.
a strong diplomatic agreement would have been reached that stopped Iran from achieving this nuclear weapon. Iran is the most dangerous and disruptive actor
Mhm.
perhaps in international security, certainly in the greater Middle East and
Yeah.
South Asia area. You should know you know this probably well enough for your country as well. And
Yeah.
so to prevent it from having a nuclear weapon that gives it
Well,
certainly the
well,
destructive and threatening power.
it is
Yeah.
quite debatable about the nuclear weapons. We do know who has the maximum nuclear weapons in the world. Of course, we do know, but then the question arises about Iran having its own nuclear weapons. Of course, with the dictatorship which is there. But before that, we are also getting the news about Mossad able to get drones inside Iran. You have been working with IDF closely. Of course, Mossad is one of the best agencies that Iran has. So, can you tell us more? Is that possible? How much truth is there in this fact that Mossad could bring all these drones which are being rained over Iran? It was all done in advance, and the attacks are not from Israel, but it is from within Iran.
It seems to be a combination of a significant amount of Israeli advanced fighter jets who flew the 1,000 plus miles to strike
Right,
in Iran, but also what appears to be, now that we're hearing for the first time, is a secret explosive UAV bases that were established outside of Tehran that were then launched within the timing of the attack. And it's certainly not beyond the Mossad's capability. It seems to be yet another in an incredible feat of intelligence operations, and it's clear that this has been in preparation for a number of years,
right.
and we see the results of it
Is
are
this going
quite
to be the
astounding.
final war? Is this going to be end of Iran? What can we expect? How big can be this war? How big can this war be?
There are a number of possibilities here. Of course, the best possibility is that the people of Iran, who have suffered a long time under this dictatorial, theocratic, terror-supporting regime, will utilize this moment of weakness to rise up. It's hard for me to actually see that happening, but we have been surprised when regimes that are supposedly strong, if we talk about the USSR or most recently, Bashar Assad's Syria fell and collapsed. It is hard for me to see such a scenario. What we can imagine is Iran right now is in a weakened state. Its entire military leadership was taken out. Its air defenses have all but been taken out. Its key proxies in the region have all but been taken out. It would seem to me that Iran will sit still
Right.
or maybe find ways to symbolically retaliate. I'm not really sure what Iran can
They have
do
said
militarily at this point.
they have said at this time the retaliation is not going to be symbolic. It's going to be deadly. Uh, but we haven't really seen when several operations happened in the past and when Israel attacked Iran and they managed to assassinate top leaders. Even today, we got the news that they have hit and killed the top leaders. I want to ask you, this is exactly because you have worked closely with IDF. That's why you could touch upon those points which the normal experts could not tell us. Of course, considering all the secrets and everything which is there, I still want you to explain to a viewer how Israel manages to hit exact points precisely, how much planning goes into it. How do you really make it possible? Because you set example in such a manner, the kind of strikes that have happened today, and of course in the past when you killed the top leaders of Iran.
Sure. This takes a lot of planning, a lot of foresight. You have to have very clear intelligence from multiple sources on, first of all, who is it that is worth hitting?
Right,
And you track them with every conceivable points of intelligence that you can strike someone, whether it's visual intelligence, whether it's their cell phones and computers, whether it's operatives inside their buildings or in their neighborhoods, and you wait for the opportune moment to strike in a pinpoint manner that, by the way, has very little collateral damage
right,
in and around their areas. And so this has a tremendous psychological effect, but you also take out military and strategic leadership of the country and put it into a state of disarray and chaos and confusion, at least
Mhm.
for some time, and certainly drives a lot of other people into a mode of panic and suspicion and hiding. And so this does a lot to put the enemy, in this case, Iran, into this mode of chaos and panic. And it will take time for them to
Right.
reorganize and figure out how to respond.
Do you think Houthis and Hamas will be active again, supporting Iran and attacking Israel from all sides? And if you could just tell us a bit about situation in Tel Aviv. Are people in fear or they have full faith in Iron Dome?
It's not just Iron Dome. We have full faith in the country, but it's more than that. We have full faith in the need of this mission. In fact, since October the 7th of 2023, we in Israel have lived under a constant state of attack and war. It's quite difficult to see a situation more inflamed than it is. For close
But
to for over a
Netanyahu
year.
hasn't really got support of the locals. We have seen so many protests in Israel itself against Netanyahu for his actions and most of the decisions.
That's about the Gaza war. Regarding Iran, I can assure you he will have near wall-to-wall support,
Mhm.
certainly from the Jewish majority of Israel, because it has been clear to every Israeli, from the left and to the right, that Iran has been behind the October 7th attack and the ongoing war on seven fronts. Israel has been attacked on seven fronts for near 600 days. The
Right.
Houthis have been firing consistently. Hezbollah fired consistently on Israel's north until it couldn't anymore.
Yeah.
And Hamas's capabilities to fire at Israel have been severely degraded, but it hasn't stopped fighting. So
Right.
it's hard to see. Maybe you'll have Iranian militias in Iraq increase
Mhm.
their fire. Maybe the Houthis will increase their fire from one, we're averaging about one missile strike a day,
Right.
to maybe two. But it's hard to see it escalating more than it is because
Mhm.
we have to remind our viewers and our listeners here that the Iranian axis of resistance has been firing nonstop at Israel for the
Yeah.
last 600 days.
Yeah.
And so
But
for us, this is a moment that we are finally striking the head of the Hydra and not just the arms of it.
so it is definitely clear this war is not to end only the nuclear sites. It is more than that.
It is in its most important element, first of all, to end the nuclear threat, and the most significant strikes from what I've been able to read have been on the Natanz and Fordo enrichment plants. In order to do that, we've apparently also taken out most of Iran's air defenses. Iran had very little, if any, capability to stop these attacks, and also part of its Iran's ballistic missile
Right.
capacity, which was also taken out in the
Yeah,
previous
Shiraz
Israeli
has just been
retaliation.
attacked, and we know that it's like attacking 1700 and more than that far in inside Iran is something what Israel has achieved. However, if you could sum it up, that what are the key points? Of course, nuclear, we know about it that nuclear facilities have been attacked. What is exactly that Israel will achieve? Because Israel and Iran are quite far. So every war is for territorial gain most of the times, or 99% of the times. So what is this war going to achieve in real sense at the end? Of
Sure,
course, this may
sure,
continue for days,
sure.
for months.
Israel has no gripes with the people of Iran, even with the government of Iran. But since 1979, the Islamic Republic in Iran has declared Israel an enemy and has utilized a significant amount of its budget, its forces, its proxies, its ideology to attack Israel and Jewish communities around the world
Mhm.
in any way that it could.
Right.
As Iran gets closer to a nuclear capability, even if it will never use those nuclear weapons, and that's something that's a risk that Israel cannot take. We're a much smaller country
Mhm.
than anyone else in the region. It would give Iran a nuclear umbrella of security, much like North Korea has today, to
Right.
conduct its terrorist activity with impunity. So this cannot be allowed to happen.
Mhm.
If we can take out and weaken and degrade Iran's other military capabilities, that's a huge achievement. What I can imagine, because Iran's nuclear expertise is local and it's not imported,
Yeah.
right? It's not like Gaddafi
Yeah.
had, or Pakistan, your neighbor, who had to import nuclear
Yeah.
knowledge. This is a homegrown capability. And so what you're doing is delaying. What you're doing is destroying infrastructure. What you're doing is you're taking out top scientists. That does push back Iran at least by a few years, and hopefully gives time for more pressure and maybe to get Iran finally to come to the table. Ideally, the people will rise up, this regime will be
Right.
overthrown, and the people of Iran will be free. That is a dream that many of us in the region share.
Right.
But I think realistically, what we can see is a weakening and a delaying by at least a few years of Iran's nuclear and missile programs.
Well, we are sure, any war between Israel and Iran cannot be just about nukes. The religion somehow gets involved in it. It has been part of this old war, or a war which has been for centuries between Jews and Muslims, or the
I'll
Arabs.
actually push back on that. We have no problem with Muslims. 20% of our own country are Muslims. We were allies and friends with Iran until 1979.
But
We
most
have
most
no
of the
pro
times, the Muslim countries got together and they fought the war in the name of religion against Israel. And Israel, of course, has their wars. Even their promotional videos of IDF show that, of course, we have to save the people, the Jews, because
We do, but we also have
obvious
Muslim
reasons.
soldiers in our military, and we have Christian soldiers, we have Druze soldiers, we have Jewish soldiers. We do not fight wars of religion. We fight to protect ourselves.
Right,
We have no problem with Muslims, with Islam. We have no problem with any of our neighbors. We have no territorial claims
right,
to Iran or to any of our neighbors. This is a defensive war. This is a preemptive defensive war, and I believe it will be ultimately for the good of regional and international stability, just as when Israel took out Saddam Hussein's nuclear reactor in 1981 and Bashar Assad's nuclear reactor in 2007. This ultimately will be for the good of regional stability.
right. Just last question as I let you go. Do you think US Army bases will be attacked?
It's quite possible, and if they are, I can imagine it will be from proxies and not directly
Okay,
from Iran. And also the Gulf Arab states should be on alert as well. Iran has shown in the past that it has and is capable and has attacked US bases, US embassies, but also it's attacked in the UAE, it's
right.
attacked in Bahrain, it's attacked in Saudi Arabia, utilizing Iraqi or the Houthis in Yemen, its proxies. And so everyone does need to be on alert for the foreseeable future.
Right. Thank you so much. It was Dan Pfefferman explaining to us this critical moment, or just in case if US bases are attacked, this can really spiral into a much bigger war that we are seeing right now. Thank you so much for watching One India. We'll keep bringing the latest from this war.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.